I just want to add one point here that I believe the investment in oil and gas infrastructure depends on the price of the gas. So currently, if you see, there is no Indian benchmark. Either the gas prices are linked to crude, or you have different averages of hubs. Maybe once you have the Indian prices, then maybe you will have, you can see the increase in infrastructure happening going forward, because you'll be able to sell your, or you can maybe pay back your entire project based on demand and supply price.
Okay, I can see that you're taking every opportunity to sell the exchange as a price discovery mechanism. Good for that. But we will leave infra for now because I'll try and complete, but we will take that 10 minutes extra. Go on to policy. And in policy, one of the most discussed aspects has been pricing. Okay? And it's been a subject of much criticism. And it's got a Shakespearean twist, according to me. That all things are with more spirit chased than enjoyed. So there was a big hue and cry about prices being too low, and so we must have market prices. And this was naturally the industry which was selling the gas, and it doesn't meet cost of production, etc., etc. So when the market cap for difficult fields went to $8, the policy was very good. Now suddenly that the prices have come down, everybody is saying that the pricing policy needs to a review, including the IEA. Recently, they've criticized. It's been always criticized, right from the Rangarajan Committee report. So now I'm going to ask you that do you think that the cry was for market prices or higher prices?
The cry was clearly for reasonable prices. Higher wouldn't have any definition. People wanted recovery of investments to take place, and in my opinion, to make the sector happen, to get the commodity into the market, it was essential that the stakeholders make their plea to the government or for reasonable prices to be set and done. So, where is the bottleneck now? Now, all these pricing situations that you're talking about are from the exploration production industry perspective. Reforms were made, flaws were detected, and we are also probably seeing that by the time DSFs and OALP-led projects come into being and gas starts selling in larger quantities, you will completely enjoy the market pricing, although it's not in significant quantums and it's not so much of so many number of projects that are coming onto streams, but we will start enjoying that. Having completed all that circle now and come into a situation, if I'm asked by Mrs. Joshi that what are those 2-3 important things that ought to happen so that the pricing subject then takes a newer birth, it will never end. Price is something which is very dear and it's close to everybody's market. But if I may name those 2-3 more important things, one foremost obviously comes to mind is getting natural gas into GST. It is going to remove so many anomalies in the market by getting a uniform credit and also uniform taxation for the states. We are seeing even state boundaries being crossed, the taxation changes taking place is playing in the gas markets, and it's influencing the customers' minds, investors' minds, even for the sellers that's going to happen. So that's my first task. The second is to make everything that is possible, including what's going on today, to make the swaps happen more efficiently. They are so damn dependent on infrastructure. We know it for sure. And infrastructure is in inadequacy for a very, very large gas market growth to take place. And therefore, if we can have efficient swap to take place, that's absolutely clear that it is required. And I must say, this is all amongst us and Ministry of Petroleum. If we continue to knock the doors and make it happen, it will happen. But that's the second thing that needs to get better and easy. By the way, that's better and easy in our liquid petroleum market. So efficient amongst the state oil companies as well as private oil companies. The swaps are very efficient. And it has, even today, tax anomalies. The swap is happening very easily. The third, from a price and a related context that I would say is to agree with my namesake to say that resale of gas in India is the next reform that ought to happen. And it has to be done in a balanced manner. There are technology tools that will be required to make sure that people do not exploit this resale possibility. And that's easy today. Let me therefore, after saying all of these three things, come to one important change that ought to happen, and all of us must push the regulatory bit to make it happen, is to technology enable that regulatory board. Push technology. In the manner that the board is being run currently, I would say it is maybe 5 or 10 years behind the world. We have possibility of using technology, monitoring operations, seeing how swaps are taking place, granting resale opportunities, also to monitor even the simplest of the contracts that are possible. Today, it's being done in a completely manual way. There are obviously leads that are being given to the regulatory board, and they are bringing in some electronicization, digitization of documents, etc. But I'm talking about technology infusion in regulatory operations. So, Mr. Joshi, I'll stop there. From the context of pricing, if a new reform is to be seen, we would like the regulatory board to go technology way.
Okay, my question pricing is to you, Deepak. Do you think that with the varying taxes, with the allocation policy being what it is, with the reservation for CGD and all this, can you really discover a price given the real limited quantity that you will be having available? Will it not be determined by LNG prices, or do you think you can actually discover price?
If you talk about the products which we plan, right now we are planning to launch natural gas. Maybe 1 year down the line, you will have LNG contract listed on our exchange. So you'll see separate LNG prices and separate PNG prices. But our vision is, yes, definitely one India, one price, and which will only become a reality when we'll have a virtual hub system rather than a physical hub system. So currently, if we are launching, say, the Dahej contract or Hazira contract, each hub will have a different price. So that is not our ultimate motto, but definitely will fall in that where the exact the liquid demand or maybe the CGD demand, everything is taken into consideration before arriving at a price. And even if you talk about the current gas supply agreements, I think there's already a flexibility of 10 to 20%, which they can bid on the spot platform. Suppose if you have a contract with your supplier which asks for a 80% take or pay, so in that case, 20% of your gas you can bid at a cheaper price compared to your gas agreement. So like this, we have to encourage more and more buyers and more sellers to make this market more dynamic and vibrant.
My question to you, Subir, is a bit on the regulatory side, because something Deepak Morkar has already said. What I'm saying is that since you are in the CGD business now and have been a supplier to others also, that in the regulations, as of today, the regulations cover only the network, right? But with the LNG tanking coming in and the transport coming in, there was an issue raised by one of the companies, I will not name it, but you may be aware, that the current Act does not cover it. Now, if the Act does not cover it, do you think the regulator can regulate this at all?
So this is a very tricky question. Perhaps I am not the right person to answer that question. But certainly there are issues, in areas coming to CGD, the recent CGD geographical areas. There are many such geographical areas where you don't have a close-by pipeline connectivity. But at the same time, once you have bidded in those geographical areas, you have bidded for certain number of pipeline construction that you have to do. Now, you cannot just lay steel pipelines and they would run dry till such time there is a nearby connectivity. So a question therefore arises that if you find an alternative means of providing the gas into the steel pipelines, whether or not that should be considered as part of meeting your minimum work program till such time the pipeline connectivity is made available to a nearby point. So these are some of the questions which would come up, and I hope the regulator is able to come up with a very positive answer in the sense that at the end of the day, what are the regulator, the government and the CGD entity is trying to do? It is basically to make the access of the gas to as much as possible to the consumers whom we all know are waiting for the gas to come. So if we come up with an alternative or alternative mode of supplying the same molecule of gas, So why it should not be considered as meeting the MWP is something, a question which I think is surely going to arise and will be posed by many if one is very serious in meeting his, committed targets. So that is something which I think is very important. And then on your question, how it will be viewed, certainly I'm the last person to answer on that because it will create more confusion into the whole debate. What I would say that, the regulator has to be proactive in anticipating what the issues could possibly be coming. And it should not be merely, the ritual of conducting meetings and noting down the points and then not moving ahead on all those pending issues. As I mentioned, funding for the CGD project, particularly to the companies which are not the government companies or backed by very prominent promoters, is not going to be that easy because at the end of the day, many of the lenders who have burned their fingers in making investment in other sectors have now become very cautious whenever they want to make any further investment, even in the case of CGD sector. So these are the challenges which we have to overcome, and that can happen only by providing clarity and giving assurance that this is how the rules of the games would be played, and building confidence into the sector for inviting investments.
Okay, we'd have just one last question for each one, because before we give an opportunity there and keep to the time, and that is one question, one statement which you would like to make. So one question which we have been asking ourselves in our office consultations and others is, do you think that now there is time for a review of the PNGRB Act as well as the gas allocation policy?
So the answer obviously is bold yes. Because I know for sure, at least as I can impromptu tell you at least 4 or 5 points in the PNGRB Act, which were very rational at the time when the Act was brought in. And also it was drafted from the innocence that existed in all of our minds before the sector rolled out. But today they are looking either coming in the way of development or looking ambiguous or actually required not to be there. So a review is absolutely bodes well for the development of the sector and at least removing those doubts from the minds of people. The other question was, apart from the Act?
Apart from that, what is the 2 points that you would emphasize
Right.
in policy and regulatory?
Right, I did mention that. SWAP making it happen, GST, and the third one was relating to resale of gas is something, if it happens, will be very, very helpful for the policy.
Nothing much to add, sir, but we will want the PNGRB to regulate our exchange. That's the only request we have. PNGRB to regulate our exchange, because Act does not say it clearly.
I would really like to take this from him after this session.
You can react. I told you that, do you think the PNGRB Act as well as the allocation policy should be reviewed?
So I would not go much into the Act, but if coming to allocation policy, certainly as has been mentioned, if the government's desire is to take gas to more and more areas into hinterlands, so certainly the policy of giving priority to CGD has to be there, because everybody knows that how the allocation system works and how it gives incentivization to all the CGD entities to make investments. So I don't have to go into the detail. So I don't think so there is a need right now to change or move away from the priority which has been given, say for example, to CGD entities, because that will change a lot of things for all the entities which have participated in the recent bidding rounds.
Okay, that was to be expected.
Well, coming to your first question on the PNGRB regulation, where yes, the answer is yes. Definitely some tariff reforms are required, And we are also happy to note that PNGRB has initiated some action on that front. I think as rightly said by Deepak, the regulations were made with all good intentions in 2008, but things have changed. I think so this, with the change in the economic scenario in the country, it needs a revisit. And secondly, on the price part, I think best answer would have been that it should be left to the market forces. Maybe you can put some quantities reserved for the sectors which you consider as priority sector, maybe fertilizers or CGD. But whether price should be fixed by the government, this is something that I think should be left to the market forces.
Now, I think this is, yeah.
The price is easy subject, but at the same time is also laid with lot of I would say controversies, because we have seen that the Indian market is very, very sensitive to price. And in the past, we have seen how the consumers have defaulted in the contract, in their contractual commitment when the prices went the other way around, what they wanted and what actually has happened. So today we have a situation where it is very, very favorable to the consumers, and again there could be a prospect that a consumer may like to default on his committed long-term contracts or mid-term contracts, and that is one of the big challenge that we have in the Indian market, the honoring of the contracts with respect to various terms and conditions.
Yeah, I thought you would. Now, this is, we have had an excellent panel discussion, and as they say, power to the people or power to the audience. Now, this is one aspect. I think we can take one or two questions, and there may be, yes, please. Can I have the mic for somebody, Mitra, please? Is somebody here?
Yeah, what's the policy on one, marketing exclusivity, and second, the infrastructure exclusivity
You have that question to
for
somebody.
for the CGD players?
No, you want somebody specific to answer? Or
Anyone in the panel can answer on this. I have no issue with that.
exclusivity is very clear. Would you like to answer that? Exclusivity is very clear. So it's 5 years. So it opens up. And what was the next question?
Sir, I would like to answer.
Infrastructure exclusivity. You were done that?
So under the 9th and the 10th round, it is 8 years exclusivity on the marketing side and 25 years on the infrastructure side. But there are certain assets which are still in the gray area. How they would be dealt with is something we really do not know at this point of time. Say, for example, whether the CNG stations, they would be covered under the marketing exclusivity or in the infrastructure exclusivity, something that needs to be clarified.
Anything else? No, this exclusivity issue is now dividing the industry. So there has to be a consensus. Somebody is coming to say that the exclusivity should be maintained and spread further, while the newer companies are saying that the exclusivity period is now over, so we should be allowed to take over. And it's happening. So